Welcome to Drive Time, the UCLA Anderson podcast. I'm Dylan Stafford. I am your host. And tonight, this is a special adult-only conversation with some serious heavy hitters. This is where they are now, the Lost Files. Yes, we've gone back in time. We're going to meet four incredible alumni from the class of 2011 as they approach their 10-year anniversary. And we're going to see just how this investment in their growth and development is paid off through time. So let me introduce, I'm not sure what order they're in on your screen, but on my screen, top left, Mark, Harper. Please wave, Mark, there in front of the coming back Death Star, CEO of WeAreTheMighty.com, an incredible affinity group really aimed at making a difference for veterans. You're going to get to hear from Mark, and he's kind of the ringleader. There's a backstory to this particular incredible cohort. Of course, the brains of the operation and the beauty, Belinda, Cheng, Louis, event producer, Bookt events.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't let Mark talk now.
No, I was like, is that just like a photo of him? I don't understand.
It's so typical Belinda, just to start stealing the spotlight as soon as she can.
It feels right. It feels like my rightful place.
Oh my gosh. And yes, Mark is coming to us from a brand new home in the Yucca Valley out near Joshua Tree. Belinda's beaming in from Newport Coast, a mile from John Schurger in the top right on my screen, currently with JD Power as an OEM program director. Hello, John.
Hey, Dylan.
And we have lots of little kids in the background, so all of us are kind of respectively hiding from our children who may join us at any point during this interview. And last but not least, coming to us from Bainbridge Island, south side of Seattle, Corey Berse, who
Hello.
is the head of employee experience with Houlihan Lokey. So the backstory for those of you listening, we used to do this thing called the All Anderson Commercial Challenge. We did it about 4 years, and then we quit doing it because these four fine, creative human beings kept winning it every year. So at the end of this episode, we're going to splice the winning videos from back in the day from Exploding Head Productions, and you'll just see.
Is that true? We ruined it?
We did. And if he kept doing it, we'd keep winning it. Every year we would keep going to this day.
Yeah, let's do one now, 10 years later.
Right.
How do you put the camera?
It was a combination of you kept winning, and then my wife and I had our second child, and I was like, I can't keep up with all that. I kept waiting for like a student committee to say, let me take this off your hands, and that never happened. So and your videos have stood the test of time. They are timeless treasures. So I really appreciate all four of you guys. Thank you for doing this. We are recording at night. We've never recorded this late before because we're 4, 5 full-grown grown-ups with grown-up lives, and this is when we could get time. So I appreciate your loved ones and your children gifting us this block of time so we could talk to each other. So
put down my kids. You're gifting me.
There's some truth to that.
Thank you.
You are gratefully welcome. Oh my God. So we're gonna, I don't know how this is all gonna go. It's gonna just be perfect, just the way it is and just the way it isn't. So we haven't really decided our order, have we?
No, we haven't.
We did.
No, Belinda goes first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Belinda goes first.
Alphabetical,
Yeah.
Belinda, Corey, John, myself.
Yeah.
She's ready.
And we're gentlemen, so ladies first.
There we go.
I'm hardly a lady. Everyone knows this.
All right. So, I think what I want to do tonight, for those of you listening, I hope if you're in our class of 2024, welcome. If you're hearing this years from now in a time capsule, this is what life was like at the end of COVID, right before we all turned into zombies. So, what I would love for us to communicate tonight, these guys were friends during school. They have built big, worth living lives. They're responsible. They have families, they have kids, they have commitments in the big, big world out there. And they're happy people. And I hope that you can kind of get a flavor of that and a sense of that. I love that we build people's futures at UCLA. And we're not going to shill for UCLA tonight. UCLA sells itself. What I really want you to listen for, if you're listening tonight to this conversation, is like, wow, how did they navigate, and what could I learn from them? And we'll put everybody's LinkedIn links in the notes at the bottom of the video. And you know, like, these are inspiring people, and they're doing the right thing, and they're doing the right thing well. So with no pressure, I'll now turn it over to Belinda.
It's really like that. That's what you're gonna turn over, Dylan. Well, these guys have built huge lives. They're super responsible. Belinda, why don't you go first?
I think we got too much credit and all that.
No.
We'll take it.
Okay, so what I've done is I put together a series of photos of, and I didn't know how far back you wanted us to go in our before MBA. Okay, so we're gonna start this off. It's not gonna go well. You guys can chime in like I know you fools will. Okay, all right, so Dylan, you asked us to do a quick intro of what our lives are like before MBA, life, why we decide to get an MBA, and life during and after. So I just put together a few bits, so enjoy, everyone. Life before MBA. I was a happy kid. It was 1979, Huntington Beach, California. I was pensive. Fast forward a bit. I went to UCI. I was born and raised in Orange County, okay? Which is where I am now. I did UCI undergrad for about a couple months. And then, as most of you guys know, I moved to Taiwan to become a pop star. And this is, I feel like, is where really that's probably where I peaked. So I was a pop star for 4 years in Taiwan. It was really fun. It was a childhood dream. I had a really cool opportunity to do it. I'm really proud of the bottom left screen grab. I played the rich, BITCH, in school, and it says, my line was, how can we let a humble girl steal all the limelight? And that's really just words to live by still today. So
Wow.
it could just even be a photo from yesterday's lunch, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I guess I'm not on mute and I'm starting to heckle. Sorry.
you should, you truly should. I did that for about 4 years. And then I moved back home, and I decided to finish my undergrad at UCLA because I smartened up and wised up. No cheers for UCLA, I see. Okay.
You are our double Bruin. Thank you.
Woohoo! After UCLA, I started a career in event production. So I worked for Larry Abel Designs. And these are a couple photos of events I did for People Magazine, Now Magazine, some of these places. It was really fun, and it was super cool. And it was sort of a career that I really enjoyed for the creative aspect of it. After Larry Abel, I moved over to Disney Interactive Studios, and I did that. I actually got the gig at Disney the same time I got FEMBA, approximately. So everybody here sort of has either been to one of my events or I forced you to one of my events. So at Disney, I really enjoyed it because we worked on really cool titles like Epic Mickey, Club Penguin, Toy Story Mania. And that's me looking like I know how to play a video game. I don't. But we did really cool events such as E3, which is an industry and gaming convention, as well as San Diego Comic-Con. Everyone knows about it. I know Harper, I know I've gotten into you. You've been to both, right?
Yeah, I saw you there.
You saw me there. I think Corey's probably been, a couple people have been, so.
I don't think you ever invited me to go, but
Okay, you can edit that
sounds
part
like it would
out.
have been cool.
Dylan, you
She
can edit
didn't,
that part
I
out.
don't think she invited me either, but once I showed up, she had to get me out of there. So she came out of the booth to talk to me.
I feel like now's a good time to mute everyone except me, Dylan. Yeah. Okay, so during that part, why get my MBA? I really enjoy events and I continue to enjoy it, but I just feel like there were a number of reasons, and I go through it in my slideshow. So my MBA from Anderson, like-minded people. I wanted to be with people who would wear matching t-shirts, but also I wanted people who were very ambitious and driven and people who just wanted something else from their life. The cool thing about FEMBAs, and I think you guys will all agree, is that we all had fairly established or close to being established careers. So it's not like, so we all were there even despite having 9-to-5s. So everyone there was ambitious, was driven, was ready to try something new. And I really wanted to be around those kind of people.
And Dylan, for future reference, I think there should be a 6th letter in FEMBA so that people aren't so awkwardly in a group not matching.
I think it's perfect the way it is, Dylan. I think it's perfect, and that's how God meant for it to be. Yeah. Another reason why I wanted to get an MBA is the talent pool at Anderson, just the students themselves. I think maybe because they're a FEMBA, maybe not, but they come from, I mean, they've done some really cool crap. Look at this guy, John Wang. He was in our section and he was on the cover of Fortune magazine while we were there. Like, we knew him. He may have, I mean, that may have been the only guy that was extraordinary, actually, in my section, but whatever. But that's, but that's really cool. We just had some really cool people from around the world who just did really awesome stuff. And I found that fascinating. I wanted to also expand my skill set, my granted, albeit very limited skill set, so it wasn't hard to do. These photos are from Gap, which is I don't know if you're ever gonna deep dive into Gap on one of your podcasts, Dylan, but it's a really cool program that I think they still do. FEMBA, yeah. So we got to work with an outside company from Italy to be an actual real life consulting company for them and actually figure out and solve one of their problems. And that's just extraordinary. That's super cool. There's no way someone would ever want me to do that unless I was at Anderson. Like, no one wants my advice, but in this context, yes. With 3 other smart people, yes. And then lastly.
And you did the John Anderson, the noble pose. That was.
You like that?
That was, if you're ever lost in life, just go stand next to the statue and peer up at a modest angle.
And you're immediately smart.
Yeah.
Immediately smart. Yeah. Lastly, once in a lifetime experiences. Try to get everybody in this group in here. So the top right is Harper and me locking eyes for the first time, knowing we would be eternal supervillains toward one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felt right. At Leadership Foundations.
Awesome.
Bottom left obviously is the fearless foursome. I mean, in the middle, obviously. I mean, once in a lifetime experience sitting next to John Schurger on a bus. That's just, you never get to do that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
Well, we were in Costa Rica, so that is actually kind of cool. But for some odd reason, that's like the only photo I have of Costa Rica. Me with John Schurger on a bus and me on a suspension bridge. That's it. But it was really cool. Like you get to do these really cool things in business school that I don't think I would have been able to do, which is really cool.
Like become a Taiwanese pop star?
That was cool. Let's go back to that slide. I look really good. Any questions? Clearly not. Life during Anderson, I think you wanted us to touch upon it, Dylan. So this is literally just a series of photos that I found. Boom, you're welcome.
Oh my God, the money shot. There it is.
Here's the thing though. I just realized my expression in these photos, I feel like it's very indicative of your experience at Anderson. It like runs the gamut, right? Like you go from terrified to real mad, to real elated, to real happy, to real inebriated. It just kind of runs the full expression gamut, Anderson. But
now, what's the one in the middle? That's incredible. That's just awesome.
Well, I forgot to mention. So during my time at UCLA, I was also social rep for my section, and then I became social VP. So I planned all the parties at Anderson. I mean, truly, my only skill set I had to put to good use. So that was the Halloween party I planned. The top left was our end of year party. We called it Brew and Ball. So you had to wear blue, gold, or dress up as any sort of bear. And I feel like there was a lot of terrible photos of Harper and Corey. I decided, perchance for the sake of their families, I would not put them up. But
I don't think they're terrible. We were sporting the Dumb and Dumber attire. Some of us were.
Sure.
Photo up.
Yeah. Oh, and then that's just to end it. That's me and my family. At commencement. No, to really end it, this is how it ended.
Oh, Gonzalo and Grace.
That's great.
World. I'm already graduated. He can't expel me. So yay.
That's awesome. That's our dean, everyone. That's Dean Frasius and his wife, his lovely wife, Grace. And his Mardi Gras beads. I love it.
Right? He really got into it.
No, wait, go back.
That wasn't even at the blue, yellow, or bear party.
No, that was commencement.
Go back to your parents. Go back to your family picture. So who all is?
Person on the left is my sister. Person in the middle is my current husband. I mean,
Current husband, I like it.
I meant to say my now husband. Current is also accurate. He's my husband. People on the right are my folks. And that was us at, and I wore the, Disney Pride.
Those are the, okay. Yeah, I thought I was seeing mouse ears up there. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. All right, your current husband. I love it. My grandfather used to introduce my grandmother as I'd like to introduce you to my first wife. And she would hit him. It was a point of consternation their entire marriage, but he never quit doing it.
That's fair. Wait, can I, you may need to edit this out, but this is a funny story. Did you guys ever watch SNL, that one bit about the game show, like Meet Your Future Wife? Did anybody watch that? Okay. I promise you I'll pay for the editing. Okay, so it's Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. They're hosting a game show called Meet Your Future Wife. So like, you got 3 normal looking dudes, probably these 3 guys. And then like a 6-year-old comes out and they're like, yo, that's not my wife. She goes, oh, but she will be. In 18 years, your daughter will be best friends with her and she will be your future wife. And it's like really awful. I'll send that to you.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry, I digress. 10 years later, I'll make this quick. I moved to Orange County after Anderson, and I stopped working at Disney because my husband proposed. So we got married and moved down to Newport Coast. I started a company called Bookt Events, which does event production for corporate and personal events. These are just some of the events we've done in the past. One of my clients is Planned Parenthood. So we've had Dr. Ruth speak. I do their annual luncheon every year. Planned Parenthood, we have Dr. Ruth speak. We had Gloria Steinem, who's pictured there. And we also had Jennifer Newsom, Gavin Newsom's wife, speak as well. So that's always kind of fun. And then I had to give a shout out to John Schurger, who hooked me up when I started out with a Scion event. So I helped him out in Toyota with an event down there, bottom right. And another shout out to all the Anderson alum. When I started my company, it was very, very scary, right? But I couldn't find more supportive people than my Anderson friends, who admittedly have become like my lifelong friends, whether or not, John, my neighbor, wants to admit it or not. Like, we're friends for life because they've been to my wedding. They've been to my baby shower. They've helped me out with my career. It's amazing. In fact, it was John's wife, Lucinda, who brought up, she's like, you should call your company Bookt Events. It'd be cute. I mean, she was drunken, but it's a great name and I kept it. So no, I really, and a lot of my first clients were all Anderson alum. Like a couple of the weddings I did, my first wedding I did was an Anderson alum who was like, oh, I went to your Halloween party. That was awesome. You do my wedding. I'm like, that's not indicative of my skills, but okay, yes, thank you. So anyway, so Anderson has been just really, business school itself has been pretty life-changing for me, to be honest, because I never really got a real college experience because I moved to Taiwan. And I never really got to form those kind of, lifelong bonds with anyone my age because of my weird life experience. So just having to go to business school and meet all these great people, including, current company included, just has been really life-changing and really awesome for me. So on another personal, yes.
When did you know you wanted to start a company when you started business school, or did that evolve during school?
I think I knew I wanted to try it. Yeah, I think I knew I always wanted to try it because I could find no other way to have the life I wanted in terms of like having kids and having babies and being a proactive mom without starting my own thing. And thankfully I have a really supportive husband who's like, do you? I'm like, okay. But I will be honest, we were very quiet during COVID because COVID, if anything, really struck events hard. So sure. I just stopped working, and for personal reasons too. My husband's a doctor, so he's been working, and he hadn't stopped working in the ERs and the ICUs. And so when COVID hit, it was tough because I could see it in his face. When our school shut down here, I said, oh, well, it'll just be 2 weeks. That's what they said. And he told me, he's like, Belinda, this is going to be for a year. I'm like, no, you're stupid. What are you, a doctor? You're an idiot. He's like, no, it's going to be a year plus. And it just it really kind of struck a nerve. Like, what am I going to do with my kids? Now I'm stressing out about my husband's safety, because he went from wearing normal clothes into now he only wears like 2 pairs of scrubs, and he washes them religiously. He, decontaminates himself in the garage, comes in, goes upstairs, doesn't say hi to us until he's fully showered and sort of disinfected. So I think COVID sort of really, not just career-wise, but obviously personally, threw our lives for a loop. So.
And and for the time capsule, it's April 14th, 2021, when we're together, so right before the zombie apocalypse, here we were yucking it up. No, I mean, seriously, it's like we're 13 months into this thing. And I think I just came back from going to Texas, saw my parents for the first time in 15 months, drove over there, and it was like a time warp. Everybody's like, masks? No, they don't even talk about COVID. It's just like it's over.
I can't. It's too much. I can't even hear that. Yeah, I think just also because we have both sets of grandparents that live within a mile of us that we were sort of taking care of and making sure they didn't leave the house. It really did something kind of messes you up on a very personal note. On that happy note, let's look at some weddings. So yeah, I did also some fun weddings from Bookt events. This is just some stuff.
Oh my God.
This is what happened also in 10 years. Got married to my husband, and I feel like he's like masking his like regret in that face, but it's all right. You married it, son. So that was our wedding day, and then we ended up having babies, and then this is our life now. That's Aurora to the left. She's 3 next week. That's me in the middle, holding her hand really tightly so she won't run away. That's my husband, Steven. That's Penny, our pup. And that's Christopher, who's 5.
Oh,
that's it. That's my life now. Just chilling, waiting for the pandemic to end so I can start working again and taking care of my family.
Oh my God. Okay. You really should have gone first. What a wonderful beginning. Thank you, Belinda. That's gorgeous.
Can I log off now? No?
You're done. Drop the mic.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Corey Berse, and I am underprepared for this session. However, we will make the best of it. No, I did put together a couple of slides to start, and I think Dylan helped tee it up because my slides are a little more focused on my life, less of the career, which I'll get to, but wanted to talk a little bit about life that happens, before, during, and after getting an MBA. And Belinda also stole my joke because here we go. Here's a couple of my baby photos. This is me at the beach. So I grew up in Long Island, New York. Me playing the piano. This was Western Day in our house. So it was probably Tuesday. So moving along just down memory lane. So these are some of I like to call them my FEMMORIES. And there's some repeats, I think, from Belinda's deck. But these first 3 slides, actually these first 3 on the top, I'd say all of these are probably from this first 3 to 6 months of Anderson. But it kind of feels like the entire experience from beginning to end. It was just this experience that I never really could have imagined, particularly going as a FEMBA. I kind of felt a little apprehensive at first that I'd be going to get my MBA, and because it was going to be a FEMBA, I was going to kind of miss out on that MBA experience and all of the fun you have, and it was going to be like going to night school and then going home, going to work the next day. And that couldn't have been farther from the truth. And we talk about this all the time, and we can never figure out whether we just had this amazing group of people in our class and our section, or this is everyone's experience. And having gotten to know people in other years, I can safely say that this is really pretty close. I still think we're a pretty special year and a special section. Sorry, Mark. The memories that are made during this experience are incredible. And the bottom middle picture, I think what's special about this picture is that I think this is the first night that me and Mark hung out. we had one exchange during orientation in the men's room. You know, it was
So far, this is all very accurate.
yeah. But I think this is the first night that we hung out, and of course we've gone on to become, you know, besties, I guess you'd call us. But the other funny thing I like about this is, so you see in this photo, you've got Belinda and Mark kind of mocking this style of wearing their sweaters around their necks. But if you look in this top middle picture, there's John Schurger.
Oh, he's doing it for real.
Around his neck, seriously. So I thought that was
It was
great.
hot.
I feel like we were just mocking John Schurger, no? We
Yeah,
just straight up went for it.
yeah, and in the bottom right is Dan Klaus, and I can't think about FEMBA without thinking about Dan Klaus.
He was so happy with those headphones, and God knows why. We're like, son, take those off. It is a quiet room.
And of course, you know, one of the highlights was, for the second time, winning Dylan's All Anderson Super Bowl commercial challenge, and you know, getting that big check on stage, and it was just, and this was, you know, probably the last month of school, and it was just you know, a culmination of such a great time and so many great memories. And then life after FEMBA, so some of the highlights. So I had an opportunity to move to Europe and lived in and worked in London for 2.5 years, which I'll talk about in a second. Had my wife Heather and I had our first son Bodhi while we were over there, and then took some time off of work actually before coming back to the States, and we traveled literally around the world for 6 months. So this photo is in Israel. This one on the top right is in New Zealand. And then we landed here on Bainbridge Island.
Is that a beard on the top right?
Yeah. That was 6 months of beard growth right there.
Whoa, that's Grizzly Adams.
No, you did not see. Oh yeah, that is his crazy wilderness beard. It was something else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we landed back in LA for a bit before moving up here to Bainbridge Island, Washington, just outside Seattle. And also just before having our second son, Kai, who was born in the summer of 2019. And this was us, not this most recent Halloween, but 2 Halloweens ago. Here's me and Bodhi and Kai on our bike, and our family. This was last fall. And there was, Dylan, you left some charts in the template you sent. I thought that they would make this a little more credible, so I left them in.
Good.
And with that, I'll close my presentation. And then I thought, rather than recreate the wheel, LinkedIn would provide an easy way to walk through kind of my career and why I got my MBA and where it's taken me after that. So for undergrad, I went to Boston University. I did a triple concentration in finance, business law, and entrepreneurship. And my first job out of college was, well, let me first say I had no idea whatsoever what I wanted to do after college. And, working in my role now, I kind of see, undergrad students who are recruiting for their jobs, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. And I didn't do any of that. I think I had one internship, but it was kind of like an afterthought that I had the summer after my junior year. But I just wasn't very career focused when I was in undergrad. And so the first job I landed after school was with Thomson. It was called Thomson Financial at the time. It's now become Thomson Reuters as a merger and acquisition content analyst. I kind of grew in that role. And I think I got the position from a posting on jobs.com or whatever the monster, I don't know, whatever the jobs site of the day was back then. And it turned out to be a great springboard. And about 2 years into that, wanted to make a life change and move to the West Coast. And I was fortunate that my role with Thomson had given me a lot of connections with investment banking firms. And so the next logical step was to see if I could get some sort of role in investment with an investment banking firm on the West Coast. And through a series of emails and phone calls, I found myself interviewing for a business analyst role with Houlihan Lokey. For those not familiar, we are an international investment bank. we focus on mergers and acquisitions, financial restructuring, and valuation. And so I took an entry-level role at Houlihan Lokey. I kind of got lucky where the person hiring me in resigned a week after he hired me. So I ended up kind of filling the shoes of a VP. I had 1 week of training, moved out to the West Coast, took on this role, and was lucky enough to be able to grow that role and have some incredible exposure early in my career. And when I started thinking about where I wanted to take my career, after a year or two, in that role, I still had no idea, and started having some conversations with people. A lot of my colleagues I saw had their MBAs. Spoke with my manager at the time, and agreed that it certainly couldn't hurt to go and pursue my MBA. And once I discovered UCLA and the FEMBA program and realized that I could do this while keeping my role, because I wasn't dissatisfied, I wasn't unhappy with what I was doing. I just, wanted to prepare myself as best as possible for, anything that could come my way, and any opportunity that I could, find or frankly create for myself. So as you saw, went into to Anderson and was just amazed at the kind of connections that I was able to form instantly with my classmates and the professors. And I continued to grow my career at Houlihan Lokey, and I can think of multiple examples of times where I had opportunities in my role, and in future roles, specifically because I had that MBA. I was in the process of getting in my MBA, and shortly after finishing my MBA, I was asked to take on a new role, and help work in our marketing department and kind of restructure things a bit. And I ended up landing in an interim chief marketing officer position. And I can point to the conversation I had with basically our co-president, who said, look, you said you just got your MBA and you're looking for another growth opportunity, and we want you to give this a shot. And that was certainly rewarding. It felt like the payback period for the MBA would happened pretty quickly, actually. So it's funny because I'm technically not a career switcher, but if you kind of look at my career at with the firm I've been with for coming on 15 years, which is crazy to think about. I've actually managed to change my career like 3 or 4 times while staying with one company. And I really do think that Anderson completely prepared me for that. Just the way that I've been able to kind of network internally, see opportunities, and then kind of figure out how to approach them and deliver on them when I've been giving them. That experience came directly from my experience at Anderson. So following a couple of years in that chief marketing officer position, helped bring in a new chief marketing officer to lead the further growth of the marketing department. And around that time, we were growing our business in Europe really substantially. So I was asked to move to our London office to help integrate a couple of acquisitions of our own that we had made. And it was a 2-year assignment. We stayed for 2.5 years. And then, as mentioned, upon coming back to the States, I saw an opportunity to, this very rare opportunity to be moving with one company, but from one role to something completely different. And took a sabbatical with our 10-month son and did all of that traveling. And that was an experience that is both unforgettable and unbelievable. And just feel fortunate every day that we had the opportunity to do that. Since coming back to the States, I've been focused on employee experience at Houlihan Lokey. So I joined our human capital team. And really, this came out of my own kind of thesis that we were really kind of dropping the ball on a lot of areas related to employee experience, and we weren't necessarily doing a terrible job, but we just missing so many opportunities to more proactively think about how we are, recruiting, engaging, and retaining our employees. And I don't know, timing is everything, because very shortly after launching this role, of course, COVID hit, and what better timing to get your feet wet, thinking about employee experience and how you need to kind of manage your culture and the way that people are working when the entire world gets upended. So it's been an incredible experience to kind of be at the forefront of that. Yeah, I mean, there's almost not a day that goes by that I don't feel grateful for the experience and the connections and friends that I was able to make during my time at Anderson.
What do I feel like we just sat in on a super impressive job interview? Or you got the job, man. You got the job.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
The board will see you now. It's
Oh, brilliant callback.
If only you were wearing a tie. Yeah.
I still remember when Corey said, yeah, so I kind of went from like marketing manager to CMO of the company overnight. And like, what happened here? It's a testament to his impact on the company, what had transpired at Anderson. And it was kind of an amazing thing to watch from the sidelines as that happened. And then he somehow snuck in a 6-month sabbatical in the middle of all that. And geez, how's that even happen?
That's beautiful. And I mean, like, yeah, because if someone's listening who's in the program right now, so that was 2 years after graduation, right?
Yeah, I mean, literally, I think a month or two after graduation, I was asked to take on this new role within the marketing department, and did that for a year. It was a challenging year in a lot of ways, but shortly after that was, kind of asked if I could lead the department for a bit.
So which was a bigger stretch, starting your MBA or doing that stair step 2 years afterwards, right? Because I always think that what I believe I observe that happens to the majority of people in FEMBA is that this FEMBA, just the multiplicity of opportunity and like time management, it's almost like you've promoted yourself within your own life. And you have to, what was good enough before FEMBA is instantly insufficient during FEMBA.
Yeah.
But to stretch yourself like that is a wonderful, like that's, you can't learn that in a book. You have to go do that, right? Go to Taiwan, figure that out for 4 years, then come home, figure that out, then have a husband, then have children. Like each of those stair steps, you're never really ready for any of those. So
yeah, it kind of, sometimes I think about, and these guys will probably back me up, but so our classmate, Brian Norton, wrote a commencement speech. I don't think he actually gave the commencement speech, but I know that he...
I have a lot of speeches, but most were in bars.
Yeah, or on coach buses. Yeah. But yeah, I think at some point he did share his speech with our entire class, and one really impactful part of it when he was talking about, guys, with what we've just been through, don't ever forget that we can all accomplish anything. Like working these past 3 years, going through Anderson, juggling it all, let this be, kind of a lesson that, we can all accomplish anything. And of course, I certainly can't accomplish half of what Brian Norton has managed to accomplish, but, those words have really stuck with me. And it just, those words and just the experience gave me a, kind of a level of confidence that, I probably can't do this right now, but I can figure it out. And I also, can remember so many occasions where I was stuck on something and struggling with something. And I always knew, exactly which, former classmate I could call to work through that challenge. And that was, you can't put a price on that whatsoever.
Brian, he said something to me one time that I swear to God also stuck with me. I walked by him second, third year of FEMBA. I'm like, Brian, how's it going? He's like, living the dream. I'm like, yeah, how's that going? Mixed bag. I was like, that's actually very, very, I'm going to use that. That's very accurate.
I miss Brian.
he still sends me a Christmas card from Ireland. I think.
Ireland. Yes.
Right? Yeah, and then
Yeah.
just
Ladies and gentlemen, a special guest on the Zoom, Brian Norton. Here he comes in. No, I'm just
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
He's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times, he appears.
with an Irish accent.
Well, two last questions, Corey. So I love that you have your one's an observation, one's a question. I love that you've got your sabbatical on your LinkedIn profile. I think that's just bold, right? Like, it's one thing to take the sabbatical, and then it's another thing to be willing to, hey, look, world, I'm publicly enjoying my life. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, it's 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to have the job gap on my LinkedIn profile. However,
this is when I was in timeout.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was a conscious decision because you know, I just anyone I meet, I encourage to kind of make that reach. Like I've gotten where I am in my career, and I'm proud of it. But I've always asked or made a case for you know, what I thought you know, would be best for me or for my family. In this case, you know, it was a family related decision. I was, you know, working, you know, really hard for a really long time and feeling burnt out and you know, and saw this unique opportunity. And so I said, look, what's the worst that can happen? So yeah, I mean, that's certainly a message to anyone who might be listening is, you know, things don't come to you, and you've kind of reached for them. And yeah, that's a message anyone should hear.
Corey, do you think you came back feeling like more centered, giving you more perspective, more focus in your job, or?
Oh, I was totally refreshed. Yeah, no, I was, you know, feeling pretty burnt out, and not sure what I wanted to do. And when I came back, it was twofold. One, I had some time to just decompress and not think about work. And at the same time, I had some time to think about work and think about the, you know, the path I wanted to take and what I wanted to focus on. And he was really, you know, able to focus during that time.
Good.
So I had the one observation. The question was just, do you want to talk about your photography at all? I told you beforehand, when I told Gonzalo that we were doing this tonight, he knows who you all are. Of course, the guy's he just got such a Rolodex, and he instantly pulls you up on Facebook and starts showing these gorgeous photos, many of which you took during the sabbatical, right?
Yeah, a lot of them, or living in Europe and, you know, taking weekend trips when we could. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, pretty much a hobby, but it's a hobby I really enjoy, and that I've spent many countless hours, you know, traveling to places or waiting in one spot for the right light. And it's just, look, I think that it's important to have balance in life and to have outlets and to not be, you know, only focused on career and or family, but you know, to be able to take care of yourself and your own interests and kind of embrace those. So yeah, for me, it's been just a way to both express myself and relax at times. So thank you for the kind words to you and Gonzalo. Oh, handsome.
Wow, it's a great photo of you.
Yeah, they really doctored it up a lot. So John Schurger.
The exact same thing that you're wearing now?
It's not actually. I have gray on, you see. I'm always wearing a sweater. I mean, let's be honest. All the pictures Corey had, only that was tied around my neck.
Except when it's tied around your neck.
Yeah, I considered doing that tonight, but I'm glad I didn't. So before Anderson, as you can see, I was wearing actually a red sweater as a child there. So, you know, like I said, always wearing sweaters.
Yeah.
So grew up in Indiana, middle child of 3, which explains a lot. I think Belinda would agree on that.
Yeah.
Grew up actually in the auto business. My grandparents owned new car franchise dealerships back in the Midwest. So grew up around cars, loved cars, wanted to be in business just like my grandfather. So I went to Indiana University for undergrad for a degree in finance and marketing. And at the time I wanted to either become a Wall Street analyst or a white collar criminal investigator. So either, be Bernie Madoff or prosecute him. Wasn't quite sure which way to go. In all honesty, I minored in criminal justice, thinking that was the route I was going to go. And Indiana actually is one of their biggest recruits for the FBI, and looking for white collar criminal investigators. So it was one of the things that weighed on my decision to go there. But there was a twist of fate, brought to you by Pepsi, Nabisco, and the American Music Awards. When I was in college, I did not drink soda, but they had a contest at the time at the store where you could win a trip to the American Music Awards through Pepsi and Nabisco and meet Britney Spears. And I made a joke about how discriminatory it was against people who don't drink soda. And so my mom encouraged me to fill out an entry blank at the grocery store when I was with her one day, and I did. And a week later, I got a knock on the door from my brother in my bedroom, and he brought this in. He said, "Hey, I had to sign for this. You gotta wake up and see this." And I was home from the summer for college, so I opened it up, and sure enough, I had won the trip.
Nice.
So it was my junior year in college. I won a trip to LA, won money, and got to go to the American Music Awards. Only Britney Spears at that time went a little crazy and shaved her head and started wearing a lot of denim. And so they substituted her with Vanessa Carlton. It was really quite sad.
Did you ask for a refund?
I did not ask for a refund. I got to sit behind Ryan Seacrest. Actually, it was quite fun at the American Music Awards that year. But after that, I kind of changed my direction and said, you know what, I want to move to the beach. I want to move to LA. I'm so focused on what I wanted to do job-wise, but I kind of changed my mind and said, it's the middle of January. This is amazing. It's 70 degrees. This is not Indiana. This is not New York. This is not Washington, D.C. And I ended up looking for different companies that were in LA and having the automotive experience. Ended up looking at who came to IU and started applying to different companies. And ironically, or coincidentally, Toyota recruits at IU. So I started talking to them and was able to get a position with Toyota out here in Torrance when Toyota was headquartered here, and got to work at Toyota doing all sorts of really awesome things, working with people like Belinda to plan events, going on some of those trips. I actually had quite a lot of fun in my 20s, going out to these events. That's me getting to meet Aerosmith in Hawaii.
John,
yeah.
Even in your 20s, you look responsible.
I know, I really was.
No, just look like the DD, like for Aerosmith.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
Sad but true. But really enjoyed my time there. But as I was getting older, I kind of decided that I wanted to look for something more in life than just traveling and spending my Sundays drinking at the beach.
Those are coconut husks. Flipping them together.
You're welcome. So I decided to figure out what to do next. And one of the things I was doing one day when I was doing my taxes was mentioning how I was considering going back to school. And the accountant I was working with said, you should do it while working, because there's this really great tax benefit for doing it. So
the same accountant who ended up doing all our taxes too?
Yes.
Us to him.
Yes. Thank you, Paul Pitches.
Paul Pitches. Paul Pitches, the man. FEMBA discount.
Amazing.
This program is sponsored by Paul Pitches.
And you guys like
and Nabisco and Pepsi.
Do you like the new building there? How about that? Look at that.
I don't even recognize it.
Wait, there's a new building?
I thought that was a picture of a different school.
Yeah. No, there's a new building.
In general.
No, that's like
that was stock photography.
No, it's a new nice building.
Remember when you had commencement and then they had the outdoor parking lot and you could get strawberries and cheese afterwards?
Yeah.
That's Alumni Plaza, and half of it was that parking lot, and they turned it into that building. Marian Anderson she gave $100 million to Judy in 2015.
Where do you do the strawberries and cheese now?
Wait, so there's no strawberry and cheese? That's
Not the point.
Yeah,
sort of kind of missed out there, didn't we?
yeah,
I don't know if it was a good
No.
trade-off.
So it's a lovely facility, and whenever we get to have events again, you'll get to come back. You can stand. That's like a balcony that looks west, towards Royce Hall, and it's really, really lovely. We were in it for a whole 10 weeks, and then we had to leave and go home and work from our couches like the rest of America. But
Yeah.
anyway, just wanted to point that out.
yeah.
Thanks for pointing out what we couldn't enjoy. We appreciate that, Dylan.
It's for alumni. It's for
Oh.
alumni. It's got those double-decker windows. That's like a big event space. It's really classy. We're gonna have you guys come and do a keynote. It's gonna be great.
I like it.
Who wants to hear that?
I'm just going for the strawberries and
Just
cheese
throwing in
and,
the
and
audience.
drinks.
But you have to wear matching sweaters. That's the only requirement. And
Around our
pants.
necks.
And pants. It's
Wait,
important.
hold on. I'm not to interrupt John's thing. Speaking of matching shirts, Mark, Harper, do you remember in entertainment marketing, the class where you, me, Jamie, and I think Fulton, we all did a presentation? And like,
Do I ever?
okay, I remember I had to get the matching shirts for us. So I got Hawaiian shirts from Goodwill. And I was like, guys,
Yes.
it was like 30 minutes before the presentation. I'm like, guys, just put them on, just put them on. Jamie, everyone puts them on. And then Jamie looks at me and goes,
Did you?
did you wash these? And I'm like, no, I just bought them. She's like,
Yeah, someone had worked 3 shifts at Trader Joe's in those things before you
no,
bought them.
oh no. So I mean, the
Yeah.
four of us just sat there just smelling like old dead men in Hawaiian shirts. Just
I remember
Pretty
it.
funny.
It was a Carnival Cruise presentation. I sat in the back row and I could smell you from there.
Yeah, it was the Carnival Cruise. It was really good.
Yes, I remember it.
Oh, fun.
Never forget that.
good odiferous memories. Oh, I'm so sorry. Good Lord.
Yeah, so I have some fun pictures here. Like everyone else, it was an incredible experience. I got to meet these lovely people here, including Belinda, who introduced us to Ice Wars, where we went and rented a skating rink, and as you can see, dressed ourselves in crazy padding.
Heavy pack.
Played games like tug of war. We had our Duffy regattas, of course.
I'm glad you have a
Um,
regatta pic. I couldn't choose the best regatta picture. So I
I-
that all together.
I had to censor it. Went on some trips to wineries. I joined the wine club. That was a great experience. But I think one of the coolest experiences was that I got to meet my wife there.
So
So-
cute.
Cute.
Yeah, reminded of it every day. I'm
Well,
sure she regrets grad school, but I do not. So
I remember when John told us, I think it was me and Corey and some other people, like, hey, and John has never like had a crush or he's been too professional and he wasn't like us, right? He was just like always real profession cool. And he was like, I think I have a crush on Lucena. And we just laughed. We're like, she's out of your league. Don't say dumb things. She's out of And you know what? She still is, but I'm so happy you guys are together.
yeah,
That's funny.
yep. And have a family with 2 kids now. We have
Oh, you got all those
Gabriella.
trophies too?
I did. I ordered them to myself. That's the beauty of working for JD Power.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you want some trophies too, I might work on it for you.
Pretty awesome.
But that's Gabriella, who is 5, and then James, who will be turning 4 on Friday, actually. And then our dog Miette, who looks like a puppy there, but she's an old disgruntled woman at this point.
Oh,
But like everyone else said, great experience. As far as career-wise, I've gotten a lot of opportunities because of the MBA, but I think the biggest takeaway, besides obviously meeting my wife there, has been just the connections, and getting to work with so many amazing people. It really does, constantly the reminder I have of being blown away by just the caliber of people that UCLA pulls in. We were talking about Brian Norton. I was very fortunate to go to his 40th birthday party in Spain right before COVID shut down. So Lucetta and I went, and what an amazing experience. And he had some amazing friends in Europe that he's met, and it's all about the network. The funny thing about going to the school across town that shall remain nameless, they talk all about network. That's all you ever hear about that school. Network, network, network. You don't really hear that as much about UCLA, but I found that it's probably equally, if not more impressive. I think it's just there's almost like a humility with the network that you get here that you don't necessarily see. I mean, except for, of course, Belinda, who shuns humility. But outside of that, it's an amazing experience. Don't have any regrets, and it's opened a lot of doors for me. So
speaking of amazing people, I'm disappointed that neither I nor you, John, or Belinda included any photos from the FEMBIES, I don't think.
You know what? I was looking for
disappointing.
them, but all of them were like marginally racist. So I couldn't include them. So I was like, I don't know if those have aged as well as we thought. So.
Oh, John, go back. Show your wedding picture again. We'll do the shout out to St. Monica's, because I just think that's awesome. You got married the same altar where Tom Brady got married, where I get to go to church. I love that.
I did, yeah, by Monsignor.
Oh, that's so cool.
Amazing. Yeah, it was funny. We actually were going through our marriage planning with him, and he told us, I'm sorry, I cut this short. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah. It was a Saturday morning, and it was the day before the Super Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're like, what? He's like, I've got to say the prayer for Tom tomorrow. I've got to go. And I was like, I didn't even know that he had married Tom Brady before then. So I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh yes, I've married Tom Brady, and so he has me come and say the team prayer. So that was really amazing.
He's our Monsignor, and you'll see him at every Super Bowl. He's just walking around. This year you could see him with the parents. He was sitting with the parents in the booth.
Yeah, he's an amazing man. So,
I mean, you're from Indiana. I'm from East Texas. There's nobody famous from where I'm from. So I come out here and I get starstruck I was standing next to Arnold Schwarzenegger at the back of church one morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not that tall.
He's not.
Pay attention. Oh my. Okay. Well, should we all do a drum roll? Should we do that thing? I was trying to think of to whom can we compare Mark, right? I don't know. De Niro. I was thinking, who are the ones who starred, that starred and directed, right? It's Ben Stiller, Zoolander.
That's
all the above.
Zoolander's pretty close.
Yeah, you're definitely getting warmer.
Hero was not. Yeah, it wasn't. No.
Will Ferrell. I don't know.
Sorry, I looked at some of this from a lecture that I do at Anderson for Derek Alderton's Entrepreneurship and Venture Initiation class. It is a 1-hour stand-up routine where I humiliate myself in front of active students about all the things to not do during a startup phase. But we'll get there in a second. So on the left, as I mentioned before, is life before Anderson, and on the right is life after. I won't go all the way back to my childhood, but I came directly to Los Angeles from the military. I was in the Air Force. I ran this thing called Combat Camera. I was in charge of the combat photojournalists that were documenting things like the war or humanitarian relief efforts and everything in between all over the world. It was the coolest job I could have ever possibly had in the military. And it gave me the content bug. It made me want to become a storyteller for the rest of my life. And 7 years into my Air Force career, I, pun intended, I ejected from the Air Force, and I blindly moved out to Los Angeles with no job whatsoever. And I started knocking on doors, and I got an internship. The combat camera story is a very cool one, but it gets you in the door in some places, but it doesn't necessarily get you the next job. So I quickly found myself on the business side of the entertainment industry out here, and like a low-level producer sort of in Paramount's digital marketing team. And I worked on things like Transformers marketing and the Star Trek reboot and G.I. Joe. I was the person responsible for Optimus Prime's MySpace page. Little known fact, and much to the chagrin of Big Paramount, Optimus Prime's top 5 friends, because that was like the very public thing on MySpace. There were your top 5 friends. It was Shia LaBeouf, it was Bumblebee, then it was Krishna Gupta, FEMBA class 2011, and then it was 2 more of my classmates. And it was for the purpose, and I hope no one from Paramount's listening, it was for the purpose of actually driving people to Krishna's band to like his page. And he got an influx of like 50,000 new followers just because Optimus Prime liked him as one of his friends there. So I didn't necessarily get fired from Paramount, but I kind of probably overstayed my welcome at that point. I actually had just started FEMBA at the end of my Paramount contract when I started working for Technicolor, and I got hired by, and again, Technicolor on the business side of entertainment. They're a global company, 22,000 people when I first started working there. Now I think they may have 2,000 people. They've undergone quite a lot of change, but I got the opportunity to work for corporate marketing. I got to go all over the world to see the different business lines that Technicolor had at the time. And I found a real niche in Technicolor's animation department, working on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Nickelodeon and Kung Fu Panda for DreamWorks. We were I think like the secondary team to the giant animation studios out there. We were doing like the TV shows. It was a really cool thing to see. And inside of Technicolor, we were doing everything in post-production as well. So it was a really interesting way to learn about everything from set to screen, as they would say, all the things that go into the world of the actual, no kidding, nuts and bolts of production. So at this point, I had this incredible entertainment background in both working at a studio and working in the post-production world, but I was really missing what was going to get me to the next level. And I started investigating Anderson, and a story that I told in my Drive Time podcast with Dylan is how I left Technicolor one day, drove to UCLA Anderson. This is after I, by UCLA standards, flunked the GMAT, and I walked into Dylan's office.
Just by UCLA standards?
Well,
okay.
Maybe by more of these top 10% school standards. And so I show up at Anderson, and I'll never forget this because I walked right in. And I said, "Hi, this Dylan Stafford is in charge of admissions here." And they're like, "Right." And I'm like, "What office is he in?" And they're like, "Well, he's back down the hall on the right, but you can't." And I'm like, "Got it, thanks." And I started a beeline towards his office. And so many people jumped up out of their desks to like stop me from going back there. Dylan Hurlow's commotion. He comes out of his office and he's like, "What's the problem?" They're like, "Sir, he doesn't have," if I didn't say sir, that's more of a military thing. They're like, "Dylan, he doesn't have an appointment. He just kind of walked in." And you're like, "Everybody calm down. We love all prospective students. Please come to my office," which was very nice of you to do so. But I was seeing my future flash in front of my eyes. So I thought there was nothing left to lose other than to go try to beg for admission from Dylan himself. And so I get in there, and this was like pure Kismet. I sit down, and he's like, "Okay, now, Mark," you said your name was Mark, "what's your story?" And I was like, "Well, I really want to go to school here. I was in the military, and I have some like jobs in the entertainment industry, but I really want to go to UCLA Anderson." And he's like, "Calm down." And he's like, "Ironically enough, your application is right here on the top of this pile. This actually happened." And I was like,
pile?
And I said, "Is that the admissions pile?" And he said, "Not exactly. Mark, let me look over this really quickly." And he's like, "I love your undergrad. love your work experience. We're really proud of our military veteran community. Like to see that. If I had met you today, you're going to bring down the actual school's like GMAT average. And I do really like you as a candidate. You're a very good, what we call left side candidate. I need you to get the right side part a little bit better. Maybe I swap those. I don't know. And so I left, but it was so incredible that Dylan actually met with me, and he stayed in contact with me as I flunked the GMAT 2 more times. And then the third time, or the fourth time, yes, I can't even do math. The fourth time, I sent him my scores. The day before Leadership Foundation, the day before Belinda and I went to go do the ropes course, I sent it to him at 8:30 at night. He called me and he said, get your trapper keeper ready and your backpack packed because you're starting Leadership Foundations tomorrow morning. And that was incredible. And that started this incredible journey into UCLA Anderson, where I met these incredible classmates. I know. It's a little bit shameful to have kind of forced my way into that conversation with Dylan, but he was a rock star, and I told him this before. He's one of my favorite human beings, and I owe him everything. I met these incredible classmates. You see, we made a lot of stupid presentations that Belinda was mostly involved with, and even more silly photo illustrations. I think on the left, that's just because the world revolves around Belinda, or everything's about Belinda. I don't even know. I literally have
all of the above. All of the above.
I have hundreds and hundreds of photos of Corey, let alone my entire time at Anderson. I don't even know what this Optimus Prime thing was for Schurger. I don't remember what that came from, but it was in some presentation somewhere.
Yeah, that's definitely from a real presentation.
And it's so fascinating how much you do. Like Corey was saying earlier, oh, we're going to night school. We're not going to have that same sort of camaraderie or experiences. And having met and interacted with many of the full-time MBAs, I would very much challenge that any one of them had the same level of experience that we did. And I say this because the people that do the full-time MBA have one thing that the rest of us in FEMBA don't have, and that is a dagger in our back pocket, ready to slit anyone's throat to get one of a very finite amount of jobs coming out of school. So we were already all at ease with ourselves and more fascinated in learning about each other and building this network that was alluded to here by John in a not so ostentatious way that allowed us to go and do the craziest things. And by that, I mean, it's 10 o'clock at night. We just finished our night school. Let's all go to the bar for happy hour at this point. That happened more times than I think any of us want to admit, but also forge these incredible bonds over all these different courses, all the things that we did. And Dylan,
we also aged poorly because of all that drinking. But
potentially
worth it. My liver hurts, but it was fun.
This photo keeps coming up, and we did not collaborate on this clearly. Otherwise, we would have all picked different photos. But it was the centerpiece of I think the creative part of Anderson. So this photo here, for those just listening, is that this project that Dylan alluded to earlier, which was the UCLA Anderson challenge for making the quote unquote Superbowl quality video about Anderson. I'll never forget when we won the first year. Belinda and I looked at each other as we were going into the judging, and we said, "Oh God, I think we made a huge mistake." As we were rattling down fifth place all the way up to first. Because we were in a classroom at that point, and we had someone from TWA Chiat. We had a couple of other people from the marketing department.
You and I, let's be honest, you and I did not take the real brainy classes. We're entertainment marketing, how to look pretty in a classroom. I'll take that class.
Guilty. So Belinda and I looked at each other because we mocked a depression medication commercial as our backbone for why you should go to Anderson. And we looked at each other and we both kind of went white, and we were like, oh my God, we made fun of the school too much. And they just threw out our entire, all the work that we did, and shame on us.
We finally
shame on us. Yeah, shame on us for not for being too pig-headed and crossing that line. And then it was incredible. We awarded it, and it was really great. And then came back that second year, had so much fun
Don't feel
doing
like we
these
crossed the
projects.
line, but all good because we won.
Yeah, right. All's well that ends well.
Hi, question. Where did that money go? Really?
Well, Belinda, if
The
you remember,
$2,000?
yeah, if you remember, I taught our entire accounting class the allowance for doubtful accounts because of your social fund management.
That makes sense, but
Also,
Yeah,
you
so I think the
can't-
same thing
You
happened
can't
here.
actually cash or deposit those big checks.
are you?
I only learned
I tried.
after the fact.
Chase will not take them. No, Belinda, that check went back to the school, if you remember.
Right, we donated it. Yeah.
We donated it. We were sick of winning all these things. It just wasn't fair.
Right.
I
Could have really used that.
meeting everyone at school was a real eye-opening for me because I had a very limited exposure to corporate America in the Air Force. And then my jobs just on the entertainment side were very, very restricted as well. I did not know that people would go to business school for things like entrepreneurship. That never crossed my mind that someone would want to start their own company. That feels like a lot of work and a lot of risk. Why would you ever want to do that? I wanted to like leapfrog. I think like a technical at the time. I wanted to be taken seriously as someone who could potentially be, a manager and work their way up the marketing department, and maybe someday skip every single step and become the CMO, like Corey does. And I took classes I wouldn't have normally taken just to avoid the really hard ones like finance. And I ended up in business plan development and strategy management and entertainment. And what's very interesting is the specific course that I thought I was going to take in Anderson coming out of it was exactly 180 degrees away from where I ended up. So in business plan development, I had a friend who worked at Technicolor who came to me with this this ridiculously expensive headphone idea. And he was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah. Hey, I got a business plan development class. I'd love to take this product and create a business plan for it so that I have something to work on in class. And he's like, sure, great, whatever. So we took this company, Audeze, that was literally working out of a garage down in Orange County, building high-end headphones. And when I say high-end headphones, I mean they started at $1,000 and they went up from there, which is still crazy to say out loud. And we did a business plan, 5 MBAs worked on it over the course of the quarter. And the handsome devil on the right there, Derek Alderton, was my professor in strategy management. And I kind of befriended him and started looping him into this project that I was working on for the headphones, because those worlds kind of crossed. It was music related, but it's technology and startup driven. And Professor Shinerock there was the business plan development professor. But these two individuals would be the beginning of this new journey that happened. So school ended, and I got a call from the guys at Audeze who were like, hey, remember you gave us that business plan? It was very helpful. It was our first set of financials. It was our first like go to market for new products. We just got a call from Warner Music Group, who has seen like some of the awards we've been winning and want to have a meeting. So, and this was a Monday. So wondering if you could get on a plane on Friday, fly to New York and pitch Audeze to Warner Music Group and raise us some money. And I'm like, well, you have come to the right place, brother, because this is what I was born to do. I hang the phone up. I immediately call Derek and I am in hysterics. I'm like, these guys think that I can go and pitch a company to a set of executives. I never pitched anything. I did a pitch thing for Gap, and that was nerve-wracking enough, but that wasn't like necessary real life. This is real life. What do I do? And he was like, well, first off, why don't you calm down? You've been to war twice. This cannot be as bad. Let's get all the team in a room and let's figure out what you're gonna say. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Also want to point out that since we were in school, guys, Anderson's gone through 3 logo rebranding campaigns, as you can see at the top here. That is a lot of rebranding, guys. But I do like where we're at right now.
Looks good.
Which was the current one? Jesus.
on the right.
Okay, that looks good.
So
everybody's going with the blue rectangle is now like unifying everybody. And look, I've got old Under Armour. We've already fired Under Armour, so I've got all this.
Whoops.
Do you know Shine Rock? So Professor Foster retired about 1.5 years ago from running Gap, and Shine Rock Jeff is now overseeing all field study for the whole school. So AMR, SMR for full-time and FEMBA, Gap for us, and then business plan development has really evolved in the business creation option, which maybe like 1 out of 4 FEMBAs now do instead of Gap. 3 out of 4 people still do Gap. It's still the dominant model, but the business creation option is really getting wonderful traction. And in a typical year, about half the projects are able to launch in some form or fashion. And we have that new venture accelerator. They took away the bottom floor of the library. They took all the books out and turned it into a cross-campus collaborative venture space. It's cool, right?
You don't really need books anymore.
No. Yeah, knowledge is
true.
I like how after we graduate, you guys get a new building. You guys have
new logos.
I can't believe.
Do you still do the drinks in the atrium though?
Honestly,
I can't believe Foster did
fun.
9 or 10 more years of Gap. That's amazing. Good on him.
He was awesome, and and but Belinda, it was your $2,000 check. We invested it well, and look what we can do.
That's
good
cool.
ROI on that.
My kid doesn't need diapers. You know what I mean? Like, that's overrated. She should be.
Let's not kid ourselves, Belinda. You just didn't need more Cheetos.
Dylan, you guys, not you. I'm not pointing fingers at you. So many people, class of 2011, came to FEMBA because of BCO. 2011 class, it was canceled for. So everyone that came in had to go through Gap. Everyone had to go through Gap. There was no BCO. I think people still are talking about it to this day. I didn't know what BCO was because I never dreamed of starting a company or being a part of it. And I had a blast at Gap. I highly recommend that to everyone.
Gap was awesome. Gap was awesome. It was hard as hell, but it was awesome.
It was great. Shall I continue?
Please.
So
3 to 5 minutes.
We get in a room. I know, sorry. We get in a room. I'll give you the short version of it here. Not that I haven't given you the long version.
With you, Mark. There's no short.
I lecture on all the things that we did wrong going forward, but some of the cool things that were going right at the time were that I got a chance to fly out and pitch to the head of Atlantic Records, the head of Warner Music Group, and the head of the venture capital firm that owned both of them about this company. And it was crazy as we were doing gangbusters as a small company that was born out of a garage. And one of our first customers was Kanye West. I had a chance to send headphones to Macklemore and Lewis. This was one of their first Instagram posts before Instagram was Instagram. They were called the Ferrari for Your Ears in Playboy. Justin Timberlake has a pair. Goes on and on. It was such a super cool company. And I remember calling Corey once and being like, I don't know what I'm doing, but Warner Music Group is, I think, about to give us $4.5 million to make this thing an actual company. Like, what is going on? And I think Corey was like, well, first off, why don't you calm down? You went to war twice. You can figure this out. I'm paraphrasing, but the sentiments were the same. And he's like, look, you've got many friends, many people that have done bits and pieces of these things. I'm sure if you run to a real hot spot, you can get some help. So I already alluded to the fact that after the pitch, we did get the money. It took 18 months from the yes to the dollars hitting the bank account. And that's mostly what that presentation is about. But all good things must come to an end. Audeze is thriving. It's great, but we did every single thing that Anderson teaches you not to do. And it became a very challenging and toxic work environment for the better part of the end of it. And I left the company. The CEO was thrown out of the company by the board. and it kind of rebooted itself, and it's doing great now. I just saw the new CEO a couple of weeks ago. He was also one of the co-founders. Very, very cool to watch that continue to go on. And really being honest, my whole world to come out to Los Angeles and to go to UCLA was specifically because UCLA, out of all of the research that I had done, was the only MBA that had a version of a track in entertainment. And I was able to take a lot of classes from some of the other graduate programs, the producing program, the directing program. And I got to take a lot of like really cool extensions to round out like what I wanted to do in entertainment. And that's what I did. I ended up going back in entertainment. And so the company that I'm now with and in charge of is called We Are the Mighty. We are first and foremost an online publisher that creates content for the military community. It's kind of like BuzzFeed meets the military in that respect. We're very apolitical, we're brand safe. We do a lot of content to connect brands to the military in an authentic way. Companies filled with vets. And we've had a lot of really cool experiences over the past 6 years. I get to do things like sometimes interview famous people because we're reporting on a movie like Rambo, et cetera. And up in the top right is King Leonidas there from 300. And he was all these experiences, just very cool things to be able to be a part of and to get to do. And, at the core of what We Are the Mighty is, we aim to be, a production company that's creating content that is authentic to the military community. And we've started to do TV and film work. And we just did a show last year called 10 Weeks, where we followed 5 new recruits from the beginning to the end of Army boot camp. This is the first time that the Army has let anyone into boot camp in the last 20 years. And it was made for the Quibi platform app that went under right before they were going to release the show. But it's going to find a new life on Roku and hopefully continue to be a springboard into some of the bigger projects that we're currently working on. So hopefully someday there's going to be a red carpet event because we will have successfully made a movie or a TV show or something to that effect. And that's what we're working on. So it's been a really cool experience. And I just have to say that like Anderson prepared me for all of this stuff. And in ways that I never knew was even possible, and has opened up so many doors for just like catapulting, I think, each and every one of us into a new version of what our careers were meant to be. And I thought I had it all figured out. And the people that I met, the direction that I went, were all mutated by the experience at Anderson. So it was a really, I can't say enough things good about Anderson, period. But I also just love the fact that many of us stay so close at this point. And I never dreamed that would even be a thing. So that's really been terrific as well.
We've just been like mutating together, which is a great feeling.
That sounds
weird. It's like Voltron, where we're forming a big giant robot. Maybe
like
not.
Optimus Prime.
I keep going back to this.
I can't, you told us not to shill for Anderson, Dylan, but it's hard not to, because I echo the sentiment. I mean, I've said it before. I think Anderson was really life-changing, at least for me, and I think for all of us, because even if I didn't attend a class, and sometimes even if I never stepped foot in a classroom, and sometimes I wish I didn't because they were really hard, just the people you meet in that environment, just your classmates, there's so much growth and learning you can get from them. And it sounds cheesy, but it really is. Just to meet like-minded people, that's a huge asset within itself. Then you multiply that by your section had what, 60 kids times 4 sections. You're meeting just a whole huge class of really just extraordinary people.
Well, shill away. It's okay. We're in the second half of the interview.
Takes it back.
Pay me my $2,000 and I'll get it.
Right.
I'm trying to fold your big check up into a FedEx. I'm reading a book right now that talks about the power of peers, and it's like psychologically, it's difficult for information to move up a hierarchy or down a hierarchy. Like it's hard to talk truth to your boss. You got to do that delicately. And then when you become a boss, now, it's hard to communicate effectively down. And the psychological point they're making is that very healthy people, like people who live long, healthy lives, have very positive personal networks of communication. And that's just like humanity in general. But then within a career, they're making the point that a healthy career, like why are friends important? We always tell our children, learn how to make friends, learn how to share. But you can do lateral communication with friends that is very difficult to do up a hierarchy or down a hierarchy. And I love hearing the different examples, where Mark, like, Corey, what do I do? Well, first you take a breath. You've been to war twice. You can do this. And I'm always trying to like crack the code on what's the secret sauce. Because I mean, I'm very biased because I've been here almost 2 decades, but I honestly think structurally this model has an additional benefit. And I goof on my personal experience as a full-time student, because I went to a good school with smart faculty, but I was 2 years out of Texas A&M. I had been a college recruiter, which was, that's not a high growth job. You drive to some high schools, tell kids about college. I'm like, real stretch there. I was a 5th year senior, basically. All my friends hadn't graduated. And I got to Chicago and, I didn't have any place to put the information that was coming my way because I hadn't experienced enough yet, honestly. And I've having watched you all for 18, I think this is my 19th season, because that was when I first got to UCLA. There was 2 things. I'm like, well, who's our enemy? Who do we hate? Because I'm a Texas Aggie, so I know to hate Longhorns. I understand Texas, right? Baylor Bears, they're bad, right? SMU Ponies, that's not a real school. Like I had all the Texas biases all figured out, but I needed to become culturally, politically incorrect out here. And they're like, oh yeah, USC, they're the bad guys. Okay, good. And then I was like, well, what's FEMBA to the full-time program? And they're like, we're kind of the redheaded stepchild, full-time program kind of dominates. And I was like, all right, whatever. But then I started, inviting you guys to come do open houses and do pitches. I was like, man, these guys are like, they're kind of heroic, right? Because they're married, they have kids, they're like busy like you read about. They're like too busy to be whiny. Because my experience of myself as a full-time student was, you got a lot of extra time on your hands, right? Like the first 2 hours Thursday night was networking, but then from like 11 to 3 in the morning, that's not networking anymore. That's just being a college kid again, in my opinion.
There's still a lot of college kid antics in the FEMBA crew. We just are much more efficient with our time.
And you have to show up Friday morning. Like there's a rigor to that I think it's because it's like when you become like second half of life, right? Your family wants your time. Your career always needs your time. And now you're starting to be a philanthropist with, I want to give back. And now there's not enough of me to go around. So what do I do? What do I delegate? And my working assertion at the moment is that FEMBA artificially bumps you up and makes you develop that time management ninja perspective of being, my new phrase is be CEO of your own life. Right? Go from being middle manager to being a C-suite executive in your own life. And once you get your own house in order, then you've got capacity and largesse for other people. So anyway, sorry, this is your podcast and I just gave a little
based on what you said, now that I have the 2 kids, I feel like I need to do FEMBA again.
Is there a refresh? Is there a FEMBA refresh?
There should be.
Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if we could, like this Zoom stuff, like the world is reinventing itself right now. And, like you're in Washington, you're in Newport Coast, you're in Joshua Tree, I'm in Culver City, like what's possible to maintain an alumni network through time? Like, what if we had some like quick hitters for big data, quick hitters for artificial intelligence, whatever the cool next thing is. And there's a lot of cool next stuff. I'm wondering about that. Right? Like a refresh. I think there's a whole market for it because, I got an MBA in 95. Like email, you think MySpace is old. Like email was new when I started my career. People thought email was cute. Can you imagine
It is
someone
cute.
thinking email was cute? It's a bane of my existence. So
I think we FEMBAs too. I think we just didn't have, I hate saying this, we didn't have the optimism and the bright-eyed bushy-tailedness of full-timers. I think we were in it, like we were already working. And so we also wanted to get something out of FEMBA. Yeah, we wanted to get friends too, but we wanted to get something out of it. But our time is precious. We have 20,000 other responsibilities. And I think it made us work even harder, not just even academically, but just also in terms of making the network. We were that much more hungry. In terms of making friends, you know, we were that much more hungry. I don't know. That was my experience, at least.
It's also a really interesting time that we started. I mean, I think during leadership foundations or like the week before was when Lehman went under, and like we started basically concurrently
Or even
with
the world was
crisis.
collapsing. Yep.
Looking back on it, it's like, yeah, big deal. But now, but back then it was like, wow, like the whole world is being disrupted, and here we are starting our MBAs at this time. Like, wow, like let's really dig in on this, because who knows what the world's going to look like, and what a better what a better time, or no better time to be kicking off this MBA.
Weren't there a couple of students who even pulled out? I remember a bunch of students were in there because their companies were compensating, were reimbursing. Disney reimbursed a good chunk load, and that had never changed. But I know some companies in certain industries, they would pull out their entire reimbursement, or like a majority of it.
Yeah, there was some of that. I'm sure.
Yeah, because fall of 2008, you guys were, I mean, the world was shifting under our feet.
Yeah.
Because that was right? Because that would have been the election fall. Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Is it? That was when McCain, famously said the fundamentals of the economy are strong. Like right before the bus went off the cliff.
Yes.
That was your first quarter in graduate school, right? Like what?
That question ever.
I think what would be great, like by way of kind of bringing this together, because you've exceeded expectations incredibly. I loved this. I love the pictures that you painted. I had some questions. I do want to know, John, where did you meet your wife? Was it in class or in social?
It was actually. It was second year. So first year she was in a different section. She was in the all-day Saturday section, but she switched with my grad school roommate, Buck Jordan, who was going to helicopter school. So he switched sections with her, and I got to meet her in class. And one of our other friends.
Serious trade up.
It was, yeah. It actually worked out. I traded my roommate for my future wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I remember I actually met Buck the first day of orientation, and you got up and talked to the whole auditorium. And one of the things you said that really stuck with me was, some of you in this room will end up married to other people in this room. And I had turned to him and to our friend Kara that I had met that day as well, and said, yeah, right, as if that happens. And it's funny. I think there were like 4 or 5 of us from our year that met their spouse. Yeah, at least, right? So it definitely happens.
Oh, and Buck, he made he made a good video. He had the one with the little kids. Remember that? They were all like sitting around the boardroom, little kids dressed up with ties and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great video. That was great. And and just a shout out to you guys, because like when we ran the commercial, or I had a committee. This is my idea. That's why it died on the vine. I never built out a big enough team to make it sustainable through time. But I remember watching your video, and I was like, man, this is so cool. Like, it was so epic. And you're waving, you have ambition, we can help, and you're waving from the catwalk, and there's Belinda, you like do the little arm punch. You're sitting on the green lawns, and I'm like, this is so like those Malibu shishi 12-step program commercials. Yeah. With the guy with the 6-pack abs and the drug habit, just getting better at Malibu. I just loved the gentle sarcasm of it, and I was just blown away with the quality of it. I think we need to bring that commercial challenge back now, because I think the problem back then was nobody had the baseline of video skills. And I think that's now transformed tremendously.
Make it a TikTok video challenge and your work's done.
Yeah.
What's
there you go.
What's TikTok?
Well, okay. Well, let's end with a round robin of, because I'd love to, what we wanted. Well, Samantha can edit it however it works for her. But so this year we welcome the class of 2020. This will make you feel old. 2024.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we have Super Saturday this Saturday. It's all on phone and Zoom. It's round 3. So, like if you knew then what you know now, if I could do it over, what would I do differently? Or the things that really worked for me was get my roommate and swap him out for my future wife. Whatever words of wisdom. Let's go in the same order.
No, let's not. I need to think of something.
Okay. Or let's not, definitely not. Let's honor that. And we can do it like I think the question people, a question people are always addressing is, like, is the return on investment, like so any advice to the 2024s? And then like, if you look at the return on investment holistically, financially, yes, but also expanding your opportunity set, right? Having the confidence to start Bookt, having the confidence to start We Are the Mighty, having the confidence, Corey, stair step, sabbatical, John, like, look, because Toyota, were you going to stay or go, right? You had that fork in the road, right? Like everybody did who had to wrestle with Toyota going to Tejas. So like I'm giving you time to think now because I didn't give you this question in advance, but advice to the class of 2024, a decade out, how do you evaluate the investment that you chose to make? You trusted UCLA. At the bottom line, you did trust us with your time and your effort and your energy. And I'm so grateful because, picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Like you guys just showed us the pictures of what a decade worth of zigzag, up, down, left, right, backwards, and forwards can look like. And, there's no one career anymore. We all have to kind of invent it as we go. So excuse me.
No, I'll go first.
All right. Thank you, Corey.
So, I think the return on investment, like most things, is what you put into it. We a couple of us talk about our fears of it, just, particularly doing FEMBA, thinking about it as going to night school and, that's all it is. And you know what, it kind of can be. Like if you just want to put in the class time and go home and do your homework on your own and, turn in the assignments and, get through the 3 years, like that's an option. You can do that. I wouldn't do that, and I think that your return on investment is going to be really low if that's the approach you take. The opportunity is just to expand your yourself and your community of your professional network and your friends and your mind and your skill set are huge, but it's fleeting. It's a 3-year period, and you've really got to take advantage of that. And, I look back and I know that my experience could have been really different, but I realized early on that I wanted to get as much as I possibly could out of this short 3-year span. And because of that, I think my return on investment has been huge in both quantifiable and non-quantifiable ways.
You nailed it. That's, I think might be just like a common theme across most of our answers. I'm wondering, as the world shifts to this more like online experience, what's going to happen to those who don't go out of their way to #show up, especially like in person, right? I think that was a bachelorette hashtag.
Look at you all young.
Is that a TikTok thing?
No, it's just trashy reality TV for you guys.
Did you just do a TikTok?
I did. I'm doing a TikTok right now. I think the crazy thing about all this stuff is, John was working for Toyota. Corey was working for Houlihan Lokey, and not in a financial capacity at the time, but in that world and bridging the gap between like different coursework. I was a complete fish out of water. I was good at doing push-ups, That's about it. And getting yelled at or getting shot at one point. And so just interacting with your classmates is like the most incredible education you can really get, which is why all the instructors in FEMBA say, like in their opening salvo every class, don't tell anyone, but FEMBA is my favorite for the following reasons. What Corey just said, basically, you've got life experience you bring to the table. You guys are intermingling with the rest of your class and you're learning about things you would never kind of step into. And, I'm hopeful that future classes take the opportunity to meet in person, because the people that hung out at night, that were doing homework together in the library when it had books, that were doing things, going to groups, going to meetings, joining the wine club, things like that. I remember I was told, like, going into it, like, throw yourself into everything. And I'm like, I hope I can just pass, period.
Did you?
You can pass. It may take a lot of work. You can pass, but really nobody asks you for your grades after the fact, unless you're going into finance or consulting. And I'm not advocating failing, but I am advocating like getting out there, meeting everybody, learning about different industries, and really kind of soaking everything up. I never thought I would be in an entrepreneurial track in my life. And like looking back on it now, I can't imagine a life where that wasn't my world. So it's insane. And Buck Jordan actually was the person who was like, I am here to start a company. Same thing with Krishna Gupta, who I talked about earlier. They were there specifically to start a company. And I'm like, what? Why? How are you going to do that here? And they're like, we'll take these classes. And I just did, because I wanted to understand why these people were so crazy to want to do that. And would never been subjected to that otherwise. And so for that, eternally thankful.
And Mark, I mean, I got a bromance with you. I really I was bragging about you. Last week I was in Texas with 3 of my Texas A&M Corps of Cadets buddies. And, we barked at the moon until 3:30 in the morning around a bonfire. And Joel's
It's a Mark thing to do.
Joel's a vet. He quit A&M and went and enlisted in the Marines. And he's got 2 grown sons, 24 and 26. One's in the Air Force, one's in the Marines. And Brady was a fighter pilot twice in the Middle East, the first in the first Gulf War, and then again later. And I was just telling him about what you're doing and your commitment to, make a difference with, for many veterans, suicide, depression, drug and alcohol abuse, negative bad outcomes after really putting their life on the line. So I just always appreciate, you're entrepreneurial, your kind of normal MBA, cool story stuff I love, and you're, lecturing with Professor Alderton and all that. But, in parallel, what you're doing with We Are the Mighty, I just, want to say thanks, hats off to you. I like living in America. I think it's a pretty cool country, grateful for it, and I know people stick their neck out such that we can get to have all this. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're just trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm going because John's being awkwardly quiet.
How I win, Belinda. That's how I win.
Checkmate.
I just will echo everyone else. Nothing original here. I just wrote take every opportunity you get in FEMBA. Just do everything. I actually, my first year. Just a quick anecdote. Mark quick, so it'll be long. It's gonna be there's the position of social VP opened, right? Or social rep for our section, where you basically just plan social stuff. I didn't want to do it. I was really tired. And this guy, one of the other guys, he's awesome. And he was planning everything just for the heck of it, right? And he was running. But then Kara, our friend, was like, Linda, you should run. You actually have experience doing it. I'm like, I don't know, but it would be kind of fun just to mess with him. So let's just take his like presentation deck and just let's mess with him. Are you actually going to run? I don't know, but I just want to mess up his deck. So he had his deck and it looked so nice. It was like, oh yeah, I planned all these happy hours for us even before we started FEMBA, this and that. I just crossed that. I'm like, if I run, I'm not going to do any of this, but I'll do this maybe. And it started off as a joke. I ended up getting the position by 1 vote, I think because he voted for me. He's like, oh, that seems cool. But once I got the position, it just kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, great, now I'm responsible for these people's fun. And it was awesome. It was so awesome. And I was so happy I did it, even though it started off as a joke, because I actually threw myself in it, created all these opportunities for everyone to just get together and have the college experience I didn't have. And I just threw, and from that point, I decided to throw myself into everything. You know, anything that came up, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. And that's how you sort of grow. And that's how you sort of get
Any opportunity to crush someone else's dreams.
I have that on a mug. Let me go get it. I have it on a mug.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. But you just throw yourself in, you have fun. During FEMBA, I went to Costa Rica. You know, I did cool commercials with you guys. That's all I have, actually. Maybe I just only did those 2 things. That's not great at all. I'm sure I did other stuff, but it was really fun. I had a blast.
Belinda, okay, so, you know, still all the top 20 schools are still, you know, 30 to 40% women. You know, it's not like law school and med school where there's gender parity. So I have to put you on the spot as a woman graduate 10 years later. You know, you said you wanted to be an entrepreneur because you wanted a lifestyle. You know, you wanted to have a certain kind of relationship to your children. You know, like
I like how Dylan's like, you want a certain kind of relationship with your children. Yes, I wanted a relationship with my children. That is accurate.
You wanted to know your children's names.
I'm almost there. Go on.
You're the big one, and you're the other one.
You're the boy, you're the girl. Can't get you guys messed up. Good.
Motherhood. Oh, you should write a book.
I really
Okay. Well, I screwed up this question. It was going to be something like advice for our female students.
Yeah.
But I obviously whiffed on that.
No.
Anything?
Apply, get in, do your best, and then craft the life you want out of it, because there's a gazillion ways to skin a cat. I only did it one way. It sounds trite, but I think every woman I personally know in FEMBA has such a fulfilling life. The ones I know who have kids, they have a fulfilling life. They're just busy and tired. You know? It's possible, it's doable. There is I think there's probably a double standard on us. I'm lucky that I don't know if I really felt it, or maybe just I ignored it and I said, screw it, I'm just going to keep going. And that would be the advice I give for any woman doing anything.
Thank you. And on a less serious note, did you learn anything from Dr. Ruth that you should just spread out to society for our all better well-meant? Everybody here's married, trying to keep going forward.
She gave me some personal advice that's probably not great for a podcast. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look her up on LinkedIn, people, if you need some.
Great though. Great advice. So.
Now we're all curious. All right. Happily married right there.
Happily
Look her up on LinkedIn. She'll charge you a fee, but you'll
Sure
get a
will.
PDF in the mail with instructions, and it's great. Or something. Sorry.
Sure.
Try not to be too silly. All right, John, you're gonna bring us home back to the heartland, the Indiana point of view. Married, got your wife in the program, for God's sakes.
I know, right? 2.4
awesome.
kids. It's crazy. Yeah, no, I think I'd echo what everyone else has said. You know, definitely, you know, jump in, try new things. It's, you know, I tried a lot of new things in college in terms of classes and, you know, took some turns there. And I think, you know, going back and getting my MBA, it was just more opportunity to do that. You know, the advice one of our friends had one day when I caught him double fisting too, if you're worried about the ROI, is every time there's an event, just drink as much beer as you can, because eventually it'll be about $5 a piece.
Yeah, that's really important advice.
Yeah, so that's advice I'm going to share there. But you know, I think
Eat all those crackers and the little
yeah,
cheese things.
the cheese, the strawberries,
pieces of broccoli.
Those big cookies, those ginormous cookies.
So good.
Yeah. But ultimately, you know, the thing is you're gonna meet some lifelong friends. So make sure that you take every opportunity to attend every event that you can fit in comfortably into your schedule. And I don't think you'll have any regrets about that. I think that people I've talked to that do have regrets are the ones who showed up, who did the work, who went home and didn't really take advantage of the situation or tap into the connection. And I think that that's probably worth more than anything else I got out of grad school.
is no one going to talk about the FEMBIES? Are we just going to pretend it didn't happen? Corey, John?
I mentioned it earlier. No one bit.
Fair, fair. The FEMBIES
Yeah.
were really fun too. It was just to touch upon it. We did this award ceremony.
It was our own way to
It was
make
like-
fun of
it was like
everything
superlatives,
that
right?
in class.
It was.
It was super. Some were fine. Some were like, oh, best dressed. Most talkative. We had a lot of. We had a lot of them.
Most huggable. That was
Most
a good one.
huggable.
Most huggable was a nice one.
Great one.
Yeah.
Corey was up for that one. That was good. Best injury, because there were a couple of them in class.
I still don't remember why the blow up dolls were there though.
They're fair.
Yeah.
Like the Bigfoot Award, people who would just kind of
Oh,
show
yes.
up, but you never saw them, so they just left. Like,
Yeah,
like
those people we were just talking about.
You're just,
High school people.
they probably all aced it. They're all working,
The Lifetime Achievement Award given to Dan Klaus.
obviously, because the headphones. It was a good time, and we all really dressed up for it. We like all changed into like Oscar-worthy clothes. It was
This was, I think it was the last class or close to the last class with our section, right? Like, so of the core.
Yeah, it was the end of core.
we brought sweet boxed wine in.
We wore, does anyone have a photo? Can we like flash a photo on? Like, it was formal attire.
We had a whole deck, and we had awards, and we had medals. We even had a song at the end. We had a song with a program too. Like, we spent more time on that than studying for the finals. Absolutely, based on my
Let me see if I can
grades.
find this.
Absolutely, what happened there. And then I think, who was our professor? Mr. Sabapa?
It's Subu. Yeah.
Is that Sabapathy?
So
But the behavioral finance guy?
Big smile. That's all I know.
Strategy.
Strategy. Yeah.
Those serious classes are all the same to Belinda.
Me and Mark would just in the back be like, okay, so who should we ask for help now? What to?
There were no FEMBIES in my section, so I missed out on this level of camaraderie.
I'm sorry. Your honorary section 3. Always honorary.
I'd like to think so.
So thanks for listening. Thank you, Mark, Belinda, Corey, John, for showing us what a long-term relationship, friendship, professional network, acquaintance, bare minimum, colleague, friend, trusted advisor, resource. You guys have been to each other's weddings. You've thrown business each other's way. You've helped each other launch enterprises of impact and import. And I tried to pay you to say all this stuff, but you gave me the check back. So what are you going to do? So
Didn't
And then you use it to get rid of disposal fees for all those books in the library.
happy with a good cause.
Oh my God. So I've just been really looking forward to this all week, or since we got it scheduled a month ago. So thank you for your time. Everybody who's listening and listened, thank you for getting all the way to the end. And yeah, I just look up these folks on LinkedIn. We'll put the links in the bottom, and these are high quality human beings, and they're part of your alumni network. And I'm just grateful, for you guys for being so generous in telling your stories personally and professionally. So thank you all very, very much.
When you know you're capable of so much more, how do you feel? Frustrated. Where does your career go? Nowhere. You have ambition. UCLA Anderson School of Management can help. UCLA Anderson treats highly motivated, driven talent just like you. Award-winning faculty, highly selective admissions, and a robust alumni network combine to provide an extraordinary graduate program. Business school is not for everyone. Side effects may include lack of sleep, enlarged brain, intricate knowledge of overly complicated financial models. UCLA Anderson may not be appropriate for someone who already has an MBA. Results may vary.
Looked like you connected.
Yes!
All right, so that's good.
All right. Sound good?
Yep.
Thank you. You got it. Thanks a lot. Hey, good luck. Thanks. Hi, I'm looking for direction. If you're looking for direction, you've come to the right place. Come with me.
Direction is a school that was consistently ranked as a top MBA program globally.
That's great, but...
There's more. Direction is a faculty that is internationally recognized as #1 in intellectual capital.
See for yourself.
Seriously, Mark, do you mind? I'm in the middle of class.
Sorry, Professor.
Let's go. Direction is instant access to an alumni network of over 36,000 professionals worldwide. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name?
Oh, it's Corey. Hey, everybody, say hi to Corey.
And direction is state-of-the-art library and research facilities. Sorry, librarian. All of this to prepare you for the next step in your professional development.
I know. I'm already a student here. I was looking for directions to my next class.
Oh.
The board is ready for you. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, if you take a look at our fourth quarter results, you'll see that we exceeded our targets in all key markets and are on track for a record year.
He's going to do just fine.
UCLA Anderson. Direction. Everywhere you look.
Looked like you connected.
All right, so that's good.